He wasn't supposed to be there that day, but fate had other plans. 3 minutes after he took a bullet to save a little girl's life, her mother, a powerful CEO, arrived, and everything changed forever. In the bustling heart of the city, Ryan Malik, a single father of one, lived a quiet life. He worked as a delivery driver by day and fixed old electronics by night. Anything to give his 6-year-old son, Ethan, a better future. Every morning, Ryan would whisper the same words before leaving for work. Be brave, little man. Daddy will be home soon. Across town, Amara Shah, one of the city's youngest and most successful CEOs, was rushing to a meeting. Her daughter Lily, 7 years old, begged her to drop her off at the park before school. Reluctantly, Amara agreed. She promised to pick her up in just 10 minutes. Neither of them knew that this small decision would change 3 lives forever. Ryan had just finished a delivery near the same park. He parked his bike to grab a quick coffee, watching parents and children laughing. It reminded him of Ethan and the simple dreams he couldn't afford. Then a sudden shout. A man in a black hoodie stormed across the playground, waving a gun, yelling at a group of people near the ice cream stand. Chaos erupted. Children screamed. Parents ran. But Lily, frozen in fear, couldn't move. Ryan's instincts kicked in. He dropped his coffee, sprinted across the park, and shouted, "Run, sweetheart, run!" The man turned, aimed the gun, and in that split second, Ryan threw himself between Lily and the danger. The shot rang out. Ryan fell. Sirens wailed in the distance. People screamed for help. Lily was sobbing beside him, clutching his hand. "You're safe now," he whispered, blood soaking his shirt. "Tell your mom you're safe." 3 minutes later, Amara's black car screeched into the park. She saw the crowd. She saw her daughter crying. She saw a man, a stranger, lying in her place. She dropped to her knees. Who is he?" she whispered. The paramedics rushed in, lifting Ryan onto a stretcher. One of them said, "He saved your daughter's life, ma'am. Took the bullet meant for her." Amara's world went silent. The woman who had everything, money, power, fame, realized she owed her daughter's life to a man who had nothing. Ryan was in critical condition. The bullet had missed his heart by inches. Doctors worked for hours to stabilize him. Amara stayed outside the ICU, watching her daughter sleep in her lap. Guilt tore through her. She had missed birthdays, bedtime stories, laughter, all for the empire she built. And the man who had risked everything for her child was now fighting for his life. When Ryan finally woke, his first words were not about himself. "Is the little girl okay?" That broke her. Amara reached out, tears streaming down her face. "She's safe because of you." Over the next few weeks, Amara visited Ryan daily. She learned about his struggles, raising Ethan alone after losing his wife to cancer, working 2 jobs, sleeping 3 hours a night. And Ryan learned about her, a woman who looked powerful on the outside but was drowning in loneliness. Slowly, the 2 families began to bond. Lily adored Ryan. Ethan found a friend in Amara's daughter. The 2 parents began to heal, filling the empty spaces in each other's hearts. But life had one more test. Ryan's company fired him. They said he couldn't drive while recovering. Bills piled up. He refused Amara's help, saying, "I don't want pity. I just did what any father would do." That night, Amara made a decision. She called her board and announced she was creating a charity fund for single parents and real-life heroes in Ryan's honor. She named it Ethan and Lily Foundation. Months later, Ryan stood on stage beside Amara, holding his son's hand. Cameras flashed as Amara announced their first scholarship program. Ryan said into the microphone, "I never thought a simple act of doing what's right could change my life." Sometimes being a hero isn't about strength or power. It's about love. And love always finds its way back. The crowd applauded, but Amara's eyes were on him. He saved her daughter's life. But when the truth about his past came out, her world fell apart again. It had been 3 months since the tragic day at the park. Ryan Malik was recovering well, and his bond with Amara Shah and her daughter Lily had only grown stronger. Every evening, Amara would bring Lily to visit Ryan and his son Ethan. The kids would play, laugh, and chase fireflies while the 2 adults shared stories about their struggles. And slowly, healing turned into something deeper. But one evening, as they sat watching the sunset, a knock came at the door. A police officer stood there, holding a file. Mr. Malik, we've been reviewing the shooting case. There's something we need to discuss." Amara's heart skipped a beat. Ryan's hands trembled as the officer spoke. The gunman wasn't a random attacker. He was part of a gang you once worked with. Years ago, you helped us arrest him, remember? Amara's eyes widened. She looked at Ryan, confused and hurt. You were in a gang? Ryan sighed deeply. I was young, lost. After my wife died, I had no one. I got into bad company, but I left that life behind the moment I became a father. Tears welled in Amara's eyes. She wanted to believe him, but the wounds of betrayal from her past made it hard. You should have told me, she whispered. You saved my daughter's life, but you hid your own truth. She walked away, leaving Ryan broken once again. Days passed. Ryan didn't see Amara or Lily. Ethan kept asking, Dad, when will Lily come again? But Ryan had no answer. Meanwhile, Amara buried herself in work. Yet every time she saw the Foundation's logo, Ethan and Lily Foundation, she saw his face. Lily, however, didn't forget. She kept a small bracelet Ryan had given her, a symbol of bravery. Mom, she said softly, heroes can have a past too. That one sentence hit Amara harder than any board meeting ever could. One stormy night, Amara's phone rang. It was the same officer. Miss Shah, there's been a robbery near the Foundation Center. Ryan's there. Amara raced through the rain. When she arrived, she saw Ryan, standing in the doorway, shielding children inside from two armed men. Gunfire echoed again. Ryan shouted, Get down! And tackled one of the attackers. The police arrived moments later, arresting both criminals. Ryan collapsed, bruised but alive. As Amara ran to him, soaked in rain and tears, he whispered, I guess I still can't stay away from trouble. She smiled through her tears. No, you just can't stop saving people. After the incident, Amara finally visited Ryan in the hospital again. This time she didn't come as a CEO, but as a woman who finally understood forgiveness. Ryan, she said softly, we all have scars. Yours just happened to make you a hero. He looked at her, eyes tired but peaceful. And maybe this was life's way of giving me a second chance. Not just to live, but to love again. The kids ran into the room, hugging both of them tightly. Months later, the Ethan and Lily Foundation expanded across the city, helping single parents, orphans, and people seeking redemption. Ryan worked as the foundation's community director. Amara stepped down from some of her CEO duties to focus on the cause and her family. In one emotional scene, Ryan placed his hand over Amara's, whispering, sometimes broken souls meet not to hurt each other, but to heal. The camera pans out, the kids laughing in the park once again, sunlight breaking through the clouds. He saved her once, she saved him forever. But this time, it wasn't danger that tested them, it was destiny. 6 months had passed since the night Ryan risked his life again. The Ethan and Lily Foundation had become a symbol of hope across the city. Ryan worked full-time, helping single parents. Amara had stepped away from her CEO title, focusing on her daughter, and quietly on Ryan. Their friendship had turned into something unspoken but deeply felt. They spent weekends together, dinners, laughter, and sometimes quiet moments where words weren't needed. But behind the smiles, Ryan carried a secret, one he hadn't told anyone. The bullet wound he'd taken months ago hadn't fully healed, and lately the pain had returned. Late one night, Ryan sat alone, clutching his chest as pain shot through him. He didn't want to worry anyone, especially Ethan or Amara. He looked at a photo on his desk. Him, Ethan, Lily, and Amara smiling in the park. I finally found peace, he whispered. I can't lose it now. But the next morning, he collapsed while helping at a charity event. Amara rushed to the hospital once again, her heart pounding with fear she thought she'd left behind. Not again, Ryan. Please, not again, she cried as doctors pushed him into the ER. Hours later, little Lily sat beside Amara, holding a small envelope. Imam, I found this in Ryan's office yesterday. He wrote it for you. Amara opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a short letter, written in Ryan's careful handwriting. If you're reading this, it means life gave me another test. Amara, you and Lily taught me what family really means. I used to believe heroes were people who saved others, but you showed me heroes are those who forgive, love, and never give up. If I don't wake up, tell Ethan I'm proud of him. And tell Lily she made me believe in miracles again. Tears streamed down Amara's face as Lily hugged her tightly. Imam, she whispered, we can't lose him. He's part of us now. The next morning, the doctor came out with a smile. He made it. The surgery was tough, but he's a fighter. Amara rushed in holding his hand. You scared us, she whispered through tears. Ryan smiled weakly. I guess I'm not done fighting yet. Ethan and Lily ran in and hugged him tightly. For the first time, Ryan didn't hide his emotions. He let the tears fall. Weeks later, the foundation held a celebration in Ryan's honor. A day for everyday heroes. As cameras flashed, Amara stepped to the stage and spoke. A hero isn't someone without scars. It's someone who keeps standing after being broken. Ryan taught us that real strength comes from love. She turned toward him and smiled softly. Ryan, holding Ethan's hand, replied, And Amara taught me that forgiveness can save a life, maybe even mine. The audience stood and applauded. That evening, the four of them returned to the same park, where it all began. The sun was setting, golden light filling the air. Lily handed Ryan a small box. Inside was a bracelet she had made, engraved with tiny words. My hero, my family. Ryan smiled, tears in his eyes. You know what, Lily? You saved me too. The camera zooms out. Two children laughing, Amara resting her head on Ryan's shoulder, peace finally in their hearts. He gave his life to protect her child, then gave his heart to heal her soul. But this time he wasn't fighting for her. He was fighting time itself. 1 year had passed since the night Ryan's life was saved. The Ethan and Lily Foundation had spread hope to thousands of families. Everywhere they went, people called Ryan the real-life guardian. Amara and Ryan had become inseparable, not through romance, but through deep, unspoken love built on trust and gratitude. Yet behind Ryan's calm smile, something was wrong again. The pain in his chest had returned. The doctors warned him that his old wound had caused internal damage, one that couldn't be undone. Ryan knew his time was running out, but he didn't tell anyone. Ryan wanted to leave something behind. He started a new wing for the foundation, the home of second chances, a safe house for single parents and children who had lost everything. When Amara asked why he was working so hard, he smiled. Because one day when I'm gone, I want Ethan and Lily to know that love can build forever. She laughed softly, not realizing he meant it literally. One evening, Ethan found his father sitting alone on the balcony, holding a photo of their small family. Dad, are you okay? Ryan smiled weakly. Yeah, buddy, just tired. Promise me something. Keep being brave, no matter what. Ethan hugged him tightly. Something in his father's voice felt different, like a goodbye he didn't understand. It was a rainy night, just like the first time they met. The foundation was celebrating its 1-year anniversary. Everyone clapped when Ryan stepped on stage. He began his speech slowly, his voice shaking. A year ago, I was just a broken man trying to survive. Today, I see what love, forgiveness, and courage can build. None of this would exist without one woman's faith, Amara Shah, and 2 children who taught me what it means to live again. The crowd stood and applauded. But before Ryan could finish his last line, his voice faded and he collapsed. Amara screamed, rushing to his side. Ryan, please stay with me. Please. Ethan and Lily cried beside them as paramedics arrived. Ryan looked at them one last time, whispering through fading breath, Take care of them, both of them. He smiled faintly, eyes filled with peace, and the light slowly left them. The room fell silent. The man who once took a bullet to save a child had taken his last breath surrounded by the family he created. Weeks later, the world mourned his loss. Newspapers called him the hero of 1,000 hearts. But for Amara, Ethan, and Lily, it wasn't just a headline. It was their world gone quiet. In Ryan's old office, Amara found a sealed box. Inside were letters, one for her, one for Ethan, and one for Lily. Her letter read, Amara, don't cry for what we lost. Smile for what we found. You showed me love isn't about time. It's about meaning. And I found mine with you. Years later, the Home of Second Chances grew into a nationwide program helping millions. A bronze statue of Ryan stood in front of the foundation, smiling, one arm holding Ethan and Lily. Amara, now gray-haired but still graceful, placed flowers beneath it every year on the same date. You never really left, Ryan, she whispered. You just became part of all the lives you saved. Ethan and Lily, now adults, carried on his dream, one rescuing children, the other running the foundation. The sun had just started to rise over the city, the same city where one man had given everything, for someone he barely knew. 3 years had passed since Aiden Carter, the single dad who took a bullet to save little Amara, breathed his last in that hospital bed. But his story didn't end there. It began again. Amara's mother, Isabella, read, the once untouchable CEO who used to live behind walls of glass and deadlines, now ran a place called the Carter Foundation. Every year, hundreds of children from broken families received free education, health care, and safety, all in memory of the man who taught her that true success isn't what you build, but who you save. Isabella often sat by the bronze statue of Aiden in the courtyard, Aiden's hand gently reaching toward two children, frozen in time. She'd whisper, "You didn't just save my daughter, you saved me." Inside her office hung a framed letter, one that Aiden had written before he died. It said, "If you ever see my son, Ethan, tell him I wasn't afraid, because I finally found something worth living and dying for." Isabella found Ethan months later, living with relatives in a small town. When she told him what his father did, the boy didn't cry. He smiled softly and said, "That's my dad. He always said heroes don't wear capes. They wear pain." From that day, Isabella treated Ethan like her own. Amara and Ethan grew up side by side, two children bound not by blood but by sacrifice. One evening at the Foundation's annual charity event, a teenage Amara walked onto the stage with Ethan beside her. The lights dimmed, the crowd hushed, and on the big screen behind them, a video began to play. Aiden's old phone recordings with his son. Laughter, lessons, love. Amara took a deep breath and said to the audience, "My father wasn't born rich, but he died richer than anyone I've ever known, because he gave everything. For love." Tears filled every eye in the room. Even Isabella, sitting in the front row, pressed her hand over her heart, because for the first time in years, she felt peace. That night, Amara and Ethan walked together through the park, the same one where Aiden once played guitar while his son laughed beside him. The wind brushed through the trees, and for a moment they both heard it, a faint voice, warm and proud. "Keep going, kids. Make the world kinder than you found it." Amara smiled at Ethan. He nodded quietly, and as they walked under the soft orange sky, the camera panned upward to the horizon glowing with light as Aiden's silhouette faded into the dawn.